Hi everyone, and welcome to Becoming a Biblical Trophy Wife. My name is Christiane, and I am here to help all of you find out what it means to actually be a biblical trophy wife, not your standard worldly view of what you think a trophy wife is. And you can see my first video to learn a little bit more about that, but also to share a bit about my health and wellness journey, my fitness journey, and just a few things in general that have really helped me that I'm hoping to pass on some knowledge and help you as well. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate all of you. A little bit more background than what I gave in my first video. I am married. I have 2 children. My husband, we've been married for 21 years on May 28th. It's been, lots of highs and lows, but since December of 2024, we've been more on an uphill swing, and I'll explain more about that in a little bit. But we have 2 wonderful children, as I said. We have 1 boy and 1 girl. Our girl is going to be a senior next year. Super crazy and exciting time in our lives. And our son will be a sophomore. Both of them have very lofty goals. And it's going to be super fun. But I wanted to kick this off by taking a little time to share first about my faith walk, which is why, a biblical trophy wife came into play, because I've really been on a much longer faith walk, trying to stay on the narrow path. And it's been quite the way there. Okay, so I grew up in the church. Just to give you a little bit of my background, like I said, I always felt a pull toward God. Anytime there was something going on at church, my mom and I were there. It was just something that we did. I was in all of the activities. I was in from when I was very little. Some of you may know about AWANA. It's an evangelical organization. It actually stands for Approved Workmen Are Not Ashamed. And it's basically like a discipleship program for children and youth, just to help them to find that narrow path and to learn how to disciple others and to teach others about Christ. From there, I graduated to going to church camp. I'm sure everyone on this channel has been to a church camp of some sort or sent a child to a church camp, something to that effect. And you know how those are always so fun and full of Christ, and you come home just super, super filled. And so I did that for many, many years, all throughout middle school and high school. I was always on the camps. I did missions trips. I went and I painted a church. Believe it or not, all of my mission trips were here in the United States. So while the other countries do need our assistance and our help, I felt a passion and still feel a passion for the United States and for caring for our poor and our communities of faith here. In our part of the world. But then I also sang in church. I was in choir, like the church choir. I was in school choir, and I did solos. So lots of things that were geared toward Christ. I would say that I probably didn't listen to very much secular music in middle and high school. But being a kid in public school, I was very manipulative and got my parents, or at least my mother, to allow me to listen to some secular music so I wouldn't be shocked when I went to the dances. But I'm not sure that was entirely necessary. I don't think I needed that in my life. But again, I was a pretty responsible kid. I actually went to sleep to instrumental, piano Christian songs, like old time songs, the Old Rugged Cross and Amazing Grace. That's what I went to sleep to every night. I would just put on my instrumental music and I would just catch my Z's. Okay. Cause that's just the best way to go to sleep. If you want my opinion on that, it was unsolicited. Sorry, not sorry. I was baptized a couple of times in my life, once as a baby. And then when I was older and my mother and I were going to church together, we made the decision, both of us, to be baptized again, to reaffirm our faith. And I was fully dunked and I reaffirmed my faith publicly. I wrote my faith statement. I'm not sure where that is now. It may have been destroyed in the flood we had back in Iowa shortly after that occurred. So I'm not sure where that statement is now, but I do very distinctly remember going through baptism a second time and truly feeling the Holy Spirit come upon me. But like most kids do, I fell away for a while. I mean, not fully. I still, even when I moved to Arizona and I was living by myself, so I have a whole other video coming about all the places I've lived, jobs I've had, all that kind of stuff. Just to give y'all a good solid background of where all this information comes from. Because I've been doing some of these things now for a number of years and would like to build on the context of that. But we're just going to start small here. And I'm going to say that after I graduated high school, I moved out to Arizona by myself, put my finger on a map and said, well, yeah, Arizona, that's where we're going to go. I happen to have a friend out there. And we, you know, we didn't live together, but we lived in the same apartment complex for a while. And she helped me out quite a bit, which was good because for a while I ate rice and A1 sauce. That's what I lived on. I went to Costco and got the big bag of rice, and I would cook up a cup of rice every night and throw some A1 sauce on it, and that's what I would eat. So yes, lots of things to talk about on this channel. But hopefully that's relatable to some of you. We've all been through some kind of, you know, destitute season in our lives, I'm sure. But I fell away during that time, not fully. I still was attending church, tried to do choir and singing where I could and when I could, when time allowed, with jobs and such. But I wasn't fully living for God. And then I would say that when my husband and I got married, we had one foot in the door, but one foot in the world, so to speak. And I do think that part of that was just being part of the military community, because my husband was Army. So I think part of it was that, part of it was just, I don't know, one reason or another. You know, we just weren't fully all 100% in. At least I can't speak for my husband, but I can speak for myself as saying that I was not living wholeheartedly for Christ. And I was not being a very good Christian wife. And so that brings me to another reason for this channel. I kind of want to share a little bit about what it means to be a good Christian wife, what it means to be a biblical trophy wife. As Christian wives, we're instructed by God's word to be submissive to our husbands in everything. I know that's not a very popular topic, but let me throw some context in, okay? I was raised very independent with probably a few feminist undertones. I'm pretty sure I had a few feminist ideas. But when I tell you the patriarchy is not bad, believe me when I tell you the patriarchy is not bad. I like being taken care of personally. So anyway, that brings me back around to December of 2024. Like I mentioned earlier, my husband and I have been exploring what it means to be in this true biblical marriage, and what it means for me as a wife to submit. It does not mean I'm a doormat, ladies. It does not mean that he doesn't respect me, but it does mean that his say is his say. Like, he is the ultimate authority in our home. I do speak to him respectfully, my opinions and my thoughts, and he wants to hear my opinions and my thoughts. But ultimately, the decisions are his. And I will tell you that since we've made this decision, things in our marriage have been much easier. Instead of both of us fighting for control, he has the control, but I do have an opinion and some say. So I just wanted to say that, you know, that outright, it's not being a doormat. It is being a helpmate and a support to your husband and submitting to him. So needless to say, my feminist and independent behavior was emasculating and tearing down my husband's confidence tremendously. I didn't even realize I was doing this. I actually had no intention of being that way toward him. I really wanted to build him up, but I'm seeking to be the submissive and dependable wife that God created me to be for him. And so that's what we've been working towards. And as a part of that, we've realized a few gaps in that area where I'm still trying to fight for some control, and I'm working that out with God. Like, he's truly just such an amazing God. He's helping me with all of this. And as part of being a biblical submissive wife or submissive biblical wife, and a good Christian wife, I definitely needed to take better care of my health. I was overweight, feeling sick. I could barely walk. I could, just barely go out and do things without being in pain constantly, okay? And so that was a huge gap. So I needed to think about my health. I wasn't really taking good care of myself ever since 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. And that kind of made a lot of people lazy. I was one of those people, okay? I got real lazy. I didn't do my makeup anymore. I barely did my hair. I didn't want to get dressed in the morning, which was a mindset thing. That's a depressive state that we can get in when things are just not going the right way. And so I needed to start making myself a little bit more appealing to my husband. And I needed to lose that weight because, man, I tell you, that weight was really, not to put a bad pun in here, but it was really holding me down. You know what I'm saying? So it was time to let some of that go. So I was going to tell you on this channel about my weight loss journey. I started at 220 pounds. And I'm working toward a healthier weight and fit body. So I'm also working on these muscles here. See, a little bit of weight training in there. Not so much though. I'm not trying to be Arnold. You know what I'm saying? I just know, I'm not out for that. So yeah, I started at 220 pounds, but now I am currently 157 pounds, all without any medications, prescriptions, pills, or crazy diets. So I'm going to get into that for sure, because you're probably asking yourself, if you're not taking pills, crazy diets, or any of that stuff, how are you losing this weight? And since December, I think I was 215. That's when I started tracking, or 219, something like that, somewhere in there. I was pretty close to the 220, but I didn't start tracking until late December. And now I'm 157. So that's only a few months. So you're wondering how I'm doing it all without medication. Well, I have a very supportive doctor and a very supportive family who are all doing this with me. So let me take you back a little bit, and I'll give you a little bit of details on this, but we'll dig more in another separate video. We'll just talk about carnivore. But back in June or July of 2023, my brother started talking to me about this diet he was doing, which, I wasn't all in about that at the time. I was like, oh, it's just another diet, whatever. But then he kept talking to me about it. And then he stopped referring to it as a diet. He called it his way of eating, which I can appreciate. That's just how somebody eats. So we don't refer to it as a diet anymore in our house, but just the way we eat. This is how we eat at my house. Proper human diet, as Dr. Ken Berry calls it. If you're not familiar with Dr. Ken Berry, he is a doctor who has YouTube videos, primarily discusses keto and carnivore ways of eating for optimal health and for weight loss, and for reversing certain metabolic disorders. So you can go look him up, Dr. Ken Berry. I'll put a link to his site below in the comments. I think you would really enjoy it if you've never seen any of his videos. If keto is more your style, he has a playlist on keto. If carnivore is more your style, he has a playlist on that. If you don't know what those two things are and you would like me to define them for you, leave a comment below. Say keto, carnivore. Be happy to go into those details. But basically the bottom line in both of these is that you eat very few carbohydrates, if any, in a day. I personally only eat meat. Every once in a while, we'll go the more keto route for holidays and things like that, special occasions, in order to just enjoy ourselves a little bit more. But 9 times out of 10, my meal is beef, bacon, butter, and eggs, or BBBE, and I am OMAD. So I eat 1 meal a day. I eat between an eating window, so I'm intermittent fasting, and my eating window is only 2 to 4 hours. So just kind of depends on how much activity I've had during the day and how hungry, but typically I only eat the 1 meal and I'm good to go. It won't be like this forever. Chances are we'll add in lunch or something small midday, something like that, just to keep me on a good trajectory and a good path for my body. But for right now, this seems to be really healing my body, my skin, everything. So there's that part of it, which is the diet, the calories in, but you also have to have calories out, right? So I am on a very strict daily exercise regimen. So I exercise every day. Now, full transparency, I did not exercise today because I actually have a back spasm going on right now. I went to urgent care this morning and got that taken care of with a couple of shots and a prescription. So yeah, if I seem a little, it's the prescription, the muscle relaxer. So anyways, I pair that diet along with the exercise, or the way of eating along with the exercise. And that has really been what has propelled me. But I will say the first and foremost thing that I do every single day without fail before even my workout is my study with God. I hold a very special time and place for pulling out and taking out God's word. And these steps are helping me to achieve these goals. And so I'm going to share a few of these steps with you through reels and posts and videos and things like that. And I'm going to try out a few different formats too, because I'm kind of the way that my brain works, and I want to be very authentic with y'all. I'm a professional at work, but I'm a finance professional, y'all. I'm not like talking to people all day and in front of a screen. Actually, it kind of makes me really nervous to talk to you like this. So I will always be authentic and real and share me with you. But given this change I've seen in myself, the change to becoming a biblical trophy wife, I've seen so many positive changes in myself. I once was a stubborn, and I still have streaks, okay? Do not get me wrong. Just because I was stubborn doesn't mean I'm not still. So I'm a recovering stubborn woman, okay? I'm also recovering strong-willed woman and very opinionated. Recovering, okay? Because I don't want to just do it my way, because my way isn't always the best way, okay? So I want to just clarify that when you're having conversations with your husband, make sure it's respectful and you're not just trying to manipulate to get your own way, as opposed to having an honest conversation about why something may not be practical or why it may be bothering you. You need to give the details into why you would like to do something different, or why your idea is in fact the better of the two. I don't want to say the better of the two ideas between you and your husband. That's not really the right way to say it, but I don't have the word right now. And I just think it's more important to have those honest conversations that are respectful and brought up in love, and actually explain why you are feeling the way that you are, instead of just ripping somebody a new one and saying, no, we're not going to do that way. This way is better. I'm guilty of that. Okay. So I'm not sharing anything that I haven't already done. But I wanted to start this channel to share that if I, stubborn, strong-willed, I want to do it my own way, Christy, can make these changes and can see so many positive results, surely my story can resonate and identify with some of you out there, and that you would have questions and want to just explore some things for yourself and learn more. But I will link some very, very good resources below for the keto carnivore diet that you can go and explore. But as I said, I will talk more about my specific journey and share what I do and how I do it in the coming, time on this channel. So definitely have more for you, more of my background for sure. As I alluded to in this video, I am a very well-rounded lady, okay? I've done a lot of things. But I have a passion, okay? I have a passion for all people, marriages, fitness, and a proper human diet. But mostly I have a passion for helping you to become the best version of yourself. Because the best version of yourself is not just good for you, it's good for everybody around you. And it's good for your mental health, your focus, all of the things, okay? So I want to help you with all of the things because they're so important. One last thing before we go, and that is be sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you know every time I post. I'm not quite ready to go live just yet, but when I do, it'll alert you when I do. So go ahead and like and subscribe, share this with your friends, drop a comment or a question down below so that I can answer the question, or I will read every comment and get back to you as well. So don't forget to do that. But most of all, you were created with a purpose, and you are beautifully and wonderfully made. So with that said, don't forget to be a prize. Have a great night. Bye.